We're talking about grief today. We live in this Western culture, those of us who live in this Western culture, where grief is, well, we'd rather deny our grief, or we'd rather not grieve, in spite of the fact that loss is a part of our life and that that's painful, and that grief is an expression of the pain of the loss of someone or something that we love dearly. But when we deny ourselves grief, it's as though we would deny the full expression of our love, and in that way even deny our love. And I don't think that you can really know and embrace your love for someone completely until you weep and sob and let it out, let that feeling rip through you. Sadness, the pain of the loss. That's good grieving. You know, in some cultures, you can even bring to mind a person falling to their knees, screaming at the sky, tearing their clothes, pounding the earth because a loved one is lost, a friend, a spouse, or a child. That's appropriate, but here you got to be careful because someone could come along and put you in the psych ward or give you medication to take the edge off the pain of your grief. But that's right. That's what it feels like to lose a brother or a sister, son or a daughter, or a parent. And not only that, even those of us who will allow some tears, we'd rather do it alone. It's like a private business. And, you know, for us men especially, it's like doing that in front of another man is, well, it's challenging. Men of a certain generation anyway. But it's right to share. It's right to be witnessed. Because it's an expression of your love. You love this person. And it's such an incredible loss. So we get stopped up. And most of us are dealing with unexpressed grief. And it's hurting us in our lives. And even at the time of death, you know, I can think of some examples of, you know, a friend who lost someone close and being very reclusive in their time of mourning. So I could only reach them by text, and they're saying, well, yes, it's sad, but I'm trying to focus on my gratitude. Well, gratitude for sure is awesome. But I don't see how it's a substitute for the sorrow or an antidote, as if your sorrow needs an antidote. The sorrow is sacred. It's right to confront these things, to face these things, to live in these things. This is what it's like to be human, is to love. You don't even need to love something that you're not going to lose. I mean, that would put a completely different spin on things, you know. If you felt like there was no end to this experience of you and another. Well, there's that kind of divine love, you know. We grieve our lives on earth, but to the extent that there is a knowing of what is eternal about us, well, there's no grief there. That will not be lost. But everything that can be lost will be lost. That's something that's good to remember. We know it. We all know it. Everything that can be lost will be lost. Every friend, every family member, your job, your money, everything you own, your health, all the beauty of this world for you will be lost. And mostly people are running around trying to deny that or act like it isn't true. Find ways of rationalizing, explaining things. Even in this, even whether it's science or mysticism, like, oh, everything is one. So I am the universe. Well, that's very good, but you're also a human being. And that's desire, this spiritual desire for transcendence that actually turns into a bypassing of the sacred human experience that you are gifted right now. It's not a reason to not be in pain. Pain is part of it. Pain is just, the other end of the spectrum from pleasure. And there's joy and there's regret. And there's gain and there's loss. This is how experience emerges through dimensionality. You try to alter the nature of experiencing, of reality for a human being. I would say no, the great fulfillment and the great peace comes from an embrace of the fullness of the spectrum, of the circle, of the sphere, the spherical spectrum extending in many directions with multiple poles of this marvelous human experience. And it's the avoidance and the denial that always leads to the suffering, the dysfunction, the violence. So how we are called is to become bigger, is to expand and grow ourselves, our consciousness, our life energy, our love, most of all, which is really the best word for all of that anyway, is love, to grow our love. Because great love has a great capacity. It's very spacious, can hold with open hands the arising and passing away of all the phenomena of this world. If you were to make yourself so big, it's hard when you're like a little box, like a little room where there's energies of sorrow and anger and the grief of loss is like bouncing off the walls like a panicked cat. Better to be the space of the sky where your experience comes and goes like weather and the sky is unbothered, you see. So there's a growth in that direction. And of course, the ultimate in that regard, the divine, everlasting arms of God, who is love, ultimate, eternal, divine love, absolute, undifferentiated, total love. And so we may cultivate in ourselves an aspiration to imitate the highest ideal, the Creator, and how that is symbolized for us here in our stories, in our rituals, in our images that are sacred and point us towards this ultimate, this absolute, and invite us to participate and do our beautiful but paltry imitation of that greatness that moves us into alignment, into an integrated wholeness, towards a holiness, an ascension upwards that makes us vital, increasingly vital, increasingly vivacious and alive, so we can share and infuse that with others, to drink from the living waters and pass the cup. Shall we gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river that flows from the throne of God? I love that song. Well, that's what there is to do. So grieve everything that will be lost, which is everything that can be lost. Grieve everything that will be lost, which is everything that can be lost. No need to clutch at it. No need to grasp at it. Yes, you may hold it tightly to your breast, to your bosom, in an expression of love and affection. Yes, yes. But not to keep it, to love it and to know it, and to express its precious value in your heart, knowing that man must be released. He or she must be released to its own journey, to his own journey, her own journey.